Chapter 113 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. Jiangshan's birthday was in September. It was his first longevity day since ascending the throne. The Empress Dowager in particular attached great importance to this and had plans of making a grand celebration. Jiangshan had already gone through one coming of age celebration. At the time, he secretly counted down the days in his heart, and upon his 18th birthday, he shared his little secret with Lin Qingyu. Strictly speaking, this year was his 22nd birthday. Save for now being a legal age to marry in his hometown, there was nothing special about it. In addition, a hard-won war had just been fought in the northwest, and they were in the middle of taxation reform in the south. Their treasury was under great constraints. Jiangshan was of the opinion that a simple perfunctory celebration would be enough. When the Empress Dowager heard this, she said, feeling gratified, "The Emperor has learned so much. He now knows how to consider the national economy and the people's livelihoods." As she spoke, tears welled up in her eyes. "The Emperor has truly grown up," Lin Qingyu said. "Guan Taifu has taught His Majesty well." Whenever her son was mentioned, the Empress Dowager, who handled matters with the power of a thunderbolt and the speed of lightning, shone from head to toe with the brilliance of motherhood. Jiangshan's every progress, no matter how big or small, moved her to tears. Like Shen Haoshi and Shao Cheng, Shirong and Shao Jie, Shao Li, or rather Jiangshan with his soul lost, was the Empress Dowager's greatest weakness. It has to be said that Jiangshan's use of these six people's relationship, taking these as the general rules of Huai's refusal of the monarch, was truly clever. Lin Qingyu relied on the principle of everything has its nemesis to exploit their feelings, enabling him and Jiangshan to get where they were today. But people are never satisfied. In the past, the Empress Dowager's only wish was for her son to call her mother. Then she also hoped that he could learn to read and write like ordinary children. Now she wished he could take over the reins of government as soon as possible and become a true emperor. Although the Dayu didn't have a precedent for a dullard emperor, they have had a child emperor before, Emperor Yuan. Emperor Yuan ascended the throne at the age of 7 and took charge at the age of 17. During this period, his imperial mother, the Empress Dowager Shao En, managed the government behind the curtain. After Emperor Yuan grew up, the Empress Dowager Shao En refused to hand over power for a long time. It was delayed until Emperor Yuan's wedding, when the officials then grew furious and the Empress Dowager Shao En had no choice but to concede. Thinking of this, the Empress Dowager said, "The Emperor is no longer young. It is time to pick some suitable people to fill his harem." Didn't she just call him like 7 or 8 years old like a week ago? This lady. Lin Qingyu sneered. Doesn't Her Highness think of His Majesty as a child? Mentally speaking, the Emperor is only 10 years old. Nice comeback. That's what we were all thinking, Qingyu. Same. The Empress Dowager said, "How can this kind of thing be calculated according to one's mental age? Based on Prime Minister Lin's words, then people who remain dullards all their lives shouldn't be allowed to marry and have children." Well, let's see how her tune changes when our emperor says he wants to marry Lin Qingyu. Lin Qingyu said calmly, "This minister did not say that, but making someone empress is no small matter. does the Empress Dowager have a suitable candidate? The Empress Dowager harbored a selfish desire to cement old ties through marriage. She meant for a girl from the Wen family to take the position of Empress. But even in front of Lin Chengyu, she couldn't reveal her intentions too openly. The matter of choosing an empress naturally must be considered at length. Ajia simply thinks that the emperor should first understand human affairs. Chingyu, what do you think? Yeah, feels super gross. Discussing matters between man and woman with Lin Chingyu was useless, and she knew it as well. It was merely a perfunctory gesture. Lin Chingyu was a smart person, so it wasn't possible that he would fail to understand her meaning. Lin Chingyu was non-committal. There is no need for the Empress Dowager to ask this minister's opinion. The minister has no opinion on the matter. The Empress Dowager smiled and said, "In this case, Ajia will have people make the preparations." A few days later, a group of newcomers arrived at Xinjiang Palace. Most of these were youthful ladies, all beautiful in their own right, all free for His Majesty's choosing. They were ordered by the Empress Dowager to serve in the inner palace. Jiang Xin acquiesced to this bit of scheming, but he allowed none of them to serve him personally. They were only allowed to serve tea and pour water. Shah Momo had been entrusted with orders by the Empress Dowager. She found an opportunity to speak in front of Jiang Sheng. "Your Majesty, you shouldn't rely on Shah Songxi alone to take care of you. Shah Songxi will be tired too. Like coaxing a child. Look at that maid named Shiwei. Isn't she pretty? Shiwei also wants to serve the emperor." Ugh, I don't know, it just feels super gross. Jiang Sheng shook his head and brought out Gong Taifu's teachings. Children listen most to their teachers. Teacher said that we should make a distinction between men and women. Zhen cannot let them get close. Shah Momo explained, "The emperor is the son of heaven, and all the people in the world belong to you. There is no need for His Majesty to make a distinction for them." Jiang Shen's expression was the very peak of naivety. "Then Prime Minister Gege is also Zhen's man?" Shah Momo was stunned. She forced a smile. "Prime Minister Lin is different. He is the wife of General Gu." Jiang Shen said in a childlike manner, "But isn't General Gu already dead?" Shah Momo was flustered, and she quickly changed the subject. "Why doesn't His Majesty want Shiwei and the others to serve you?" Jiang Shen frowned. "I don't like the smell of them. Their smells make me feel unwell. It's even worse when they touch me." Shah Momo's face turned pale and she murmured, "How could this be?" At this time, a slightly cold voice came. "What are you talking about?" Shah Momo turned around and saw Lin Chingyu. She hurriedly bowed and saluted. "Your Excellency?" Lin Chingyu gave a salute to Jiang Sheng and then turned to Shah Momo. "His Majesty should be attending to his schoolwork right now. Shah Momo came to Xinjiang Palace but seems not to have any matter of import to do here." The servant was ordered by the Empress Dowager to bring some snacks to the emperor. It was well known that Lin Chingyu had a cold and arrogant temper, but he has always been polite in front of the Empress Dowager. As the Empress Dowager's confidant, Shah Momo has always been treated to Lin Chingyu's milder side. At this moment, she could feel Lin Chingyu's gaze falling on her. Mighty pressure exerted by one in a position of power made her almost breathless. For the first time, she clearly realized that Lin Chingyu's position as the top official did not depend only on his face and luck. Lin Chingyu said calmly, "Now that you have given it, you can go back. The emperor is busy with his studies and has no time to chat." Yes. As soon as Shah Momo left, Jiang Shin took off his childish mask and said with a smile, "The Prime Minister is here." Lin Qingyu glanced at the snacks on the table. Did the Momo come to teach His Majesty about human affairs? Jen has no need for others to teach me that. Jiang Shin yawned. Lord Prime Minister has already taught me. Lin Qingyu sneered. How could this minister teach that to His Majesty? I dare say the Emperor was self-taught. Lin Qingyu's bad mood was within Jiang Shin's expectation. Luckily, he was prepared. He patted his leg and said, "Babe, come and sit." Lin Qingyu said coldly, "No, I'm very busy. I have a pile of reports waiting for me to read." Jiang Shin smiled. "Oh, those. I have already finished reading them for you." Lin Qingyu was somewhat surprised. "Really? If you don't believe me, you can go check." Lin Qingyu went to the desk and flipped through a few of the reports. Sure enough, they were all written with replies and criticisms in blue ink. He turned to look again at Jiang Sheng, yawning non-stop, looking like he hasn't had enough sleep. Lin Qingyu's heart softened and he took the initiative to apologize to Jiang Sheng. "Sorry, I shouldn't lose my temper with you, but I know you can't help it. It's alright. You look gorgeous when you lose your temper." Jiang Shin took Lin Qingyu's hand and led him to sit on his lap. "I know you want to study Gu techniques, but don't have the time. I invited back the genius doctor from the southern border. You can take a few days off to work with him on the capital's dissertation on Gu. As for morning coat, I will help you deal with it. If there is anything I'm not sure about, I'll make sure to ask you." Lin Qingyu looked at him quietly. Jiang Shin asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" Lin Qingyu said softly, "I think you really like me." He knew how much Jiang Shin hated getting tired, but every time Jiang Shin got tired, it was all for him. Jiang Shin just smiled. "You're only finding out now?" He raised his hand and touched Lin Qingyu's cheek with his fingertips. "All right, go play and come back a little earlier tonight." Free to do what he wanted, Lin Qingyu was in a good mood. "Then I will take the doctor to the general's mansion to see the little goose." Seeing Lin Qingyu's pleased expression, Jiang Shin's sleepiness subsided a lot. The Gu-obsessed Lin Qingyu was so cute. Though Jiang Shin wanted to sleep, he didn't have much time. After successfully coaxing the great beauty, Jiang Shin rested his eyes a while. When he was about to pick up his brush and resume his fight, Shao Songxi came in offering freshly brewed tea. "Your Majesty, please drink a cup of tea to refresh yourself." Jiang Shin was still thinking about Lin Qingyu and said worriedly, "I hope I managed to get Qingyu to cheer up." Shao Songxi said, "This servant thinks Prime Minister Lin wouldn't be angry over such a trivial matter." "You don't know him. He will still get angry. He also knows that there is no need to be angry about this kind of thing, but he can't help it. He won't say anything about it, but I must coax him nevertheless." Shao Songxi couldn't understand, but he was greatly shocked. The Emperor is wise. Girl, Shao Songxi is like an MVP character. He's just helping this couple. He's the biggest shipper, not actively shipping, but He facilitates for their smooth relationship. Do you think he knows? He should know somehow because he is pretty intuitive. It would be weird for him not to know. I want a short story or like a side story about Shao Songxi. In Xi'an Palace, Shah Jiamomo told the Empress Dowager of her conversation with the Emperor. The Empress Dowager also thought it strange. A suspicion had begun to grow in her heart, but on her lips flowed insistence that the Emperor was merely too young mentally and didn't understand these things, which was why he'd said such words. Lai Fu made a slip of the tongue. Could it be that the Emperor is. What is it? This servant dares not to say. The Queen Mother said irritably, "If you have anything to say, just say it." Lai Fu said cautiously, "Please allow the servant to be so bold as to guess, but maybe the Emperor was born a cut sleeve. The kind of cut sleeves that cannot bed a woman." The Queen Mother frowned and said sharply, "Outrageous! Who allowed you to speak nonsense? Do you find your head too heavy to carry on your shoulders?" Since the founding of the dynasty, male homosexuality has come in and out of fashion. In the past few days, the number of men who took male wives have been increasing. Most of these men did not abstain from having relationships with women as well. However, there were indeed some men who simply could not abide being with women. Yeah, bisexual people exist, gay people exist too. Between men, it was called being a cut sleeve. Between women, it was called being a mirror grinder. The Empress Dowager thought of Emperor Wen's Princess Changle. Even though she married a husband, she would break out in cold sweats and vomit profusely as soon as she had intercourse with him. However, she showed none of these problems when she beds a woman. Ooh, a lesbian queen. I like an author who shows all these, like bisexual people, lesbians, and gays, because most BL authors just focus on the gay couple and just magically just makes everybody either gay or just straight and act like bisexual people or lesbians don't exist. I wish there was a little bit on a sexuality too. That would be nice. Lai Fu hurriedly knelt down and cuttered repeatedly. The servant begs forgiveness. Forgive me, please. The Empress Dowager closed her eyes and said, "We will wait for another 2 years until the Emperor's mind becomes little more mature." I just find it hilarious. Shah Jiamomo considered the matter and said, "The Emperor likes great beauties. Otherwise, how could he only smile whenever he saw Prime Minister Lin Xiang when he was still sick? For the past 2 years, Prime Minister Lin has stayed by the Emperor's side. With Prime Minister Lin by his side, it is only reasonable that His Majesty would look down on all other beauties." The implication was that Master Lin had set the Emperor's standard so high that ordinary beauties simply couldn't catch his attention at all. However, if you looked around the capital, where could you find anyone who could compete with Lin Qingyi's beauty? The Empress Dowager considered it for a while and felt that what Shah Jiamomo said was somewhat reasonable. At first, it was because the national teacher said that Prime Minister Lin could help the Emperor recover. So, Ajia allowed Prime Minister Lin to stay in Xinjiang Palace Side Hall. Now the Emperor is well. It's about time. I'm afraid it's inappropriate for Prime Minister Lin to be staying in the Emperor's palace any longer. Prime Minister Lin, to put it mildly, is the emperor's cousin's wife. It is the best that we avoid any suspicion. Shah Jamomo echoed. What the Empress Dowager said is absolutely true. The Empress Dowager took a deep breath. After all, the Emperor's mind is different from others. This matter is not urgent. We can only take it one step at a time. In the blink of an eye, it was the Emperor's birthday. Although Jiangxin said that he wanted only a simple celebration, it was after all his first longevity day. Some extravagance had been given to the occasion. On this day, the palace was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. Singing and dancing continued unending. The maids and eunuchs all wore new clothes embroidered with objects of auspicious meanings. When the time came, the emperor climbed up Hui's tower to be congratulated by all the officials. Lin Qingyu, the representative of the ministers, came with wine cup in hand, wishing the emperor limitless blessings and long life. Jiangxin looked intently at Lin Qingyu. With a smile on his lips and eyes shining bright, he raised his own cup and said, "Today marks the day of Zhen's birth. It is also being reborn. Everything that has come to pass is but permeable. Prime Minister, let us celebrate together my recovery from my old illness, and let us wish that from this day forth everything should go smoothly." He has recovered from his old illness, and everything should now go smoothly. Lin Qingyu smiled lightly. Yes, so long as his beloved man was always by his side, old illnesses, no matter how painful, will heal one day.